Okay, good evening, and welcome to Boston Originals in the beginning of our spring 2020 season, which will include readings by Ocean Vuong, Natalie Diaz, Kathy Park Hong, and Claudia Rankin, to name a few. Robin Blazer, a poet of the so-called Boston Renaissance, which we're still waiting for, once said that poetry is the only occupation dedicated to the knowledge of death. Now, that might sound like a strange way to inaugurate a reading and a season, but it's meant to remind us of this unapologetic capacity of ours, our fearlessness, our willingness to integrate death into our day, to exist, in other words, with the unfamiliar by us, and not to turn the other way. The word inaugurate derives from a time when Jim Dunn would cough and inaugurate things. The word inaugurate derives from a time when all formal beginnings of a movement, all major decisions of a quote-unquote republic were determined by augurs, soothsayers, poets, who were attentive and sensate and could read and interpret the patterns of birds and weather, the fluctuating structures of a more comprehensive motion, of which we as humans are simply members. I wanted to inaugurate this reading by dedicating it to a member of our community who has recently passed away. Her name is and was Leah, is it Cerriello? Cerello. And her partner, Oliver Strand, read in last fall's Boston Originals, you probably remember. In her honor, we have put up an exhibit of two rare drafts of an elegy written by Elizabeth Bishop for her dear and beloved friend, Robert Lowell, which we welcome you to look at after the event. I've also invited Oliver to share a few poems of Leah's before this event. And Oliver has also put on display two beautiful artist books of hers. Please welcome Oliver Strand.
So I can't say what Leah means to me right now, but I want to say thank you to all of you, and also especially to the readers tonight, and to Christina and to Mary for making a space where I can share Leah's way of seeing and feeling. Two artist books are in the back corner, a white cloth and two parallel lines. And we're also working to mount an exhibition retrospective of Leah's work. Her work is really interdisciplinary, but it spans a masterful understanding of textile work, weaving, spinning, and dyeing. Also conceptual and performance and installation art, also bookmaking and writing. I'm going to read a short statement that she made about her work and then a couple of texts. I imagine time visually as two parallel lines, the line of deep geologic time and the line of one human life. The lines stretch ahead and behind with no end or beginning. Deep geologic time seems incomprehensible. We don't know for certain its origin, and we don't know where it will end. However, a human life is equally uncertain. We are as ephemeral as a mountain range succumbing to erosion, or a glacier-filled past at the height of summer. We appear, linger, and disappear. A vapor to solid to dispersal. Both lines of time exist inside our bodies, parallel at two different scales. I forgot to say the most important part is the exhibition is next week, the 24th to the 28th, at Montserrat College of Art in Beverly, Massachusetts. And each day there will be a collaborative performance trying to reimagine her body and her presence and way of seeing in her performances from 2 to 7, and a reception on the Friday at 7. So Friday the 28th. Okay. Now her writing, quickly. Two shadows on either side, deep folds of skin, lichen like freckles, like birthmarks, like scars, like the place where rock ground against rock, tooth against tooth, chatter marks. In a million years, DNA can be found still ground out from the dentin in your tooth, the core the same as the rock. And they will know, those that find you will know, that you came from somewhere else. Find that the erratic, the granite, is not the same as the bedrock, carried by a glacier from the mountains, from home. And now here walking the moraine, looking at this mark that was made when it was scraped against the ground in some part of central Massachusetts. The striation, it moves in both directions, north-northwest and south-southeast, hearing the highway in the same direction, murmurations going back and forth. Imagining a ball of ice fitting inside the mountain in this gap, rotating thumb joint. Ball of ice rotating around, carving out tarn and boulder and gravel and grasping exactly like my hand, the movement that allows possession. I can pick up a stone and carry it down the mountain. A glacier did the same. The line of the break moves straight and then splits into step-like shapes that cast a dark shadow where lichen is still growing. How much light does it take? Like marks on the body, like places where bone fractures and comes back together, or like knuckles linked together and folding the hands back on each other, eventually opening to reveal fingers and open palms. Are there places like this on the body, in the body, dark places where things still grow? Imagine sea ice covering all of this, the tops of the mountains looking like small stones embedded in the snow. Then, at home looking at stones, their foreheads just above the piles of leaves. I imagine stumbling on a buried mountain in the woods. White peeling back at the edges reveals deep center, dark water reflects trees, sky, rock, sitters, hikers at the other edge of the pond. 12,000 years to become exposed and fill in. In another 12,000 years flooded, the sea will meet it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Oliver. I just wanted to say that this community has been so loving to me, and I wanted to show that love to Oliver and to his family, to Leah's family, who are here tonight. So I hope you'll go and greet them afterwards and show them the kind of love that poets alone can provide. And now I have the great honor of welcoming Janaka Stucky, Andrea Cohen, Amanda Gorman, Porsha Olayiwola, Ariana Reines, and James Stotts to read for you tonight in that order. Each reader will read for about 10 minutes, and then our party will begin at about 7:15 afterwards. Thank you so much. Janaka.
What a beautiful crowd here, and my honor and chagrin to be the first reader. Chagrined because I accidentally double booked myself and have to run across town immediately after reading to moderate a discussion on translating Korean literature. And then I'm hoping to make it back here by the end of this event to mix with everyone. So I'm going to read a selection from this book-length poem that came out about 8 or 9 months ago. You'll hear some religious language in this book, but I think of the book as non-religious, as mystical. And I guess my distinction between mystical and religious is that a mystical experience is an unmediated, direct experience with the mysterium tremendum, whatever you want to call it, flying spaghetti monster in the sky. And that is non-hierarchical, it is anti-patriarchal, it is anarchic, and it is free. And so all I really wanted to do in writing this was just document this ecstatic utterance from our collective pain body in the face of that dread and awe. So here we go. Blessed is the lotus, the day's bleeding wound. Blessed are the spiders, their alphabet 26 stones, my corpse is dancing. Blessed are the worms, the maggots, sexless and probing like tongues through the rotting soil. Blessed is the loam, blessed is the loam, the darkness, mushrooms blooming, teeth pushing through the earth's black and putrid gums. Blessed is the maw, the great maw, the mouth, the gnashing of continental shores. Blessed are the stones, the rocks, the island, all the world, a promontory scab, hardening around the earth's myriad molten wounds. Blessed is the blood, the bile ascending, the gross moss of shapeless years, forming on the eyeless trunks of trees. Blessed are the snakes, the dragons breathing, the giants eating, each dumb beast, our mothers, our fathers, filled with blood. Blessed are the black cricket's legs, singing furiously until the whole lake is on fire. Blessed is the fire, blessed is the lake, blessed are the cricket's black legs. Blessed is the trembling nerve of now, the great topaz hurtling through galactic dark. Blessed is the dark, the knotted roots of the first tree, the fearful serpent uncoiling still as even the first stone turns to dust. Blessed is our fear, the great retching which rips us wide-eyed, hairy and blood-spattered, terribly laughing up from the mud. Blessed is the transfiguration of terror that wakens the crimson thread within. Blessed is our weaving and braiding, our crawling. Blessed is our climb. Blessed are we who flop from mud to soil, to grass, to trees. Blessed are our lungs, our hands. Blessed is the transmutation of air and fruit and meat to spirit. Blessed are the bees. Blessed is their hive returning through each flaw of rain, revealing the hierophany of nectar in the fresh light of the cloud's empty womb. Blessed is our moaning and shitting, our walking on quivering feet. Blessed is our walking and running, our speaking each day, our dying, our struggle toward freedom, our dying. Blessed is the fight for freedom, even more than to be free. Blessed is our life. Blessed is our instrument responding with purity to the collapsing sigh of the world. Blessed is our cry, our radiant repeating, the gleaming cinder, like honey, like wax, like roses, the world vanishing and nothing but us remaining beneath the abyss of God singing, I am the one that is not. And when the cry comes to no longer be the vessel, the cry comes not from your mouth alone. It is not you talking. It is ancestors of ancestors speaking with centuries upon centuries of mouths. It is not you alone desiring. It is a galaxy of descendants desiring down the long, fathomless pillar of your infinite heart. For between the void and the abyss, you alone struggle and are imperiled. And in your small earthen chest, one thing alone struggles and is imperiled. And when the cry comes in the cryptic tongue to pass beyond my body, bastion of sugar and bone, my body monstrously shining above black lichen rivers, its curse like a star of blood erupting from my throat, a promise roaring, jackals howling, awful and grim. My body, lust magnificent, views of Byzantium, crucified, awake in me and me among. My body, idle and brutal, let light thunder, the first to adore. My body, my ghost, my retinue of ghouls, profane and dancing, dizzy, drunk, and shrieking through a phantasmagoria of stars. My body, exquisite thighs streaming with blood. My body, hungry and gaping, threaded with hands. My body, my tongue, distended and dangling amid corpses and non-corpses. Gung, gung, drone the bees. My body, my mouth, my penetrated mouth, singing through the honeycomb locked in its jaws. My penetrated body, levitating weightless, rotted by this leprous alien song. I am penetrated, I am penetrated, I am pierced. My body, my elephant, my chariot, I am pierced. I am penetrated by men. I am penetrated by insects, plants, and beasts, the ecstatic march of flesh. I am penetrated by birds, by stones and the wind's twisted shell. I am penetrated by seas and fires, by colors, by wings, by horns, by claws, by constellations, butterflies. I am penetrated by great hemlocks blackening the moonless sky. I am penetrated by water, by dreams, by lightning cracks in thick night, by night, thick as death, it must be death. I am penetrated by death and cannot see. And beneath the night sky, the universe of every eye, judging acutely with their small fires, igniting to the orchard within me the path of names, every word along the way lit like a flame upon the wick of its origin. I kiss each word and make for it a temple on my tongue. I name a stone, I name an insect, I name an idea, dancing across a dust mote's horizonless stage. I name a nightmare ecstasy. I name sleep a fertile wall of storms. I name the air choked with a blizzard of blossoms, white origin of apples buzzing on the wild, threadless sun. I name the eye of the earth blinking in my blood, a phenomena of swarms. I name the hour black lightning and its children golden sheaves of fire burning Lanka to the ground. And the trembling shale of stardust is its name. Red Java flower is its name. The sky lit by heaping nectar is its name. The cloud whose throne is a corpse is its name. Dwell in its presence and dread is its name. Reflect on the root from which you were hewn is its name. An act without knowledge is nothing is its name. The seven heavens of chaos is its name. Velon is its name. Rakia is its name. Shehakim is its name. Savul is its name. Ma'on is its name. Makun is its name. Eravot is its name. A curtain like the hum of a severed head is its name. A silver bridge of the dead returning to their infinite source is its name. A choir of thousands, terrifying, slow, and rising from a single mouth is its name. Scorched by the awestruck jism of a new element is its name. Amen, amen, Ezah, Selah is its name. There is a precise instant when the world is marvelous. Now is its name. I hear its cry. I hear its cry lacerated by a paradise of sadness, devoured by brutes. I hear its cry, I rise, weeping, a moth emerging from the innocence of limbo beneath the green bowers. I hear its cry dissolving in a golden beam. I invent new beasts, new flowers, new stars, new men, new holes, pool of Bethesda, new flesh, new tongues, new purity, oh purity, this vision of purity, erect for the brief bliss of the void. I depart through nameless, numberless years, climb the cosmic mountain parapets of jasper shining above the waning cypress. I wade through thickets of mallow and approach the navel of the earth. Carve the sacred pole from the trunk of a gum tree, anointed, and climb, belligerently ascend and climb. Further still, I climb and disappear into the sky.
That's an easy thing to follow. I'm just going to tell a few jokes. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, all of my fellow poets, and thank you, Oliver, for that. Just going to read some poems. This is called Major to Minor. Does it sound okay? Yeah? Okay. Major to minor. Trains jump tracks, and people from steep trestles leap. But mostly, it's the subtler shifts that hit us hard. The key to the city, not quite fitting. The epiphany of twin beds where there was one. Like two icebergs, no July knows what to do with. division of. You took the painting of the girl on the stair. You left the stair. You took the nail on which the girl in a pink haze hung. You left the hole in horsehair plaster and the crumbling that comes after. My poems are very short, so I get to read a lot of them. Hard. We wear hard hats at all times. Even manna has consequences. Cloud study. How do clouds learn to be clouds? They study what Constable, seeing them, saw. Awe, for sure, but also a falling away from any sense of earthly surface. Zero horizon. Skying, he called his 100 sketches. Think of the great Walendas stretching netless above gorges. A cloud learns not to look down. Music class. I went to a Christian preparatory school for girls and boys. I'm not sure what it prepared me for, but this, like the others, is kind of a true story. Music class. Kids learned to play recorder in 4th grade, but I arrived late that year, and Mr. Bradley, fatigued and harried, taught me to fake it. How to inflate my cheeks and make fingers navigate in the Baroque way favored for pastoral scenes, for amorous and other miraculous events. At frigid Christmas concerts, I was convincing, shivering on bleachers, shamming Ave Maria. Who the hell plays a wooden flute these days? But mastering silence, no one forgets. I can still play, very well. This is called Nightshade, which is the title poem of this book. Nightshade. It trades in poisons and in balms. We call it bittersweet, what living isn't. Declarative. I give you broken things so you won't ask, will this break? Stationery. In the stationery store, he asks for the sort of pencil that's mostly eraser. What do you call that, he asks, and the clerk isn't sure whether he means, what do you call that sort of pencil, or what do you call the desire for it? But she understands what's behind the question, and behind her counter there's a room where quietly they erase each other. This is called On Divinity. I believe in divine intervention. When the gods rush past, I tackle them. That's also a true story. I have the wounds to show it. I used to play rugby until I realized it was painful. And I stepped away from the woman running at me with the ball, and I thought, yeah, that's it. I'm done. This is called Yarn. How many skeins she left, and patterns neatly creased, and needles, and rebellious, I never learned to knit. I was learning to be cold. And I'll read a couple poems from here. Wrecking Ball. Its offices are thin air. On days off, it still goes in. Wrecking balls are workaholics. They hang around up there, and even the idea of big sky crumbles. Shadow boxer's complaint. Shadows don't fight fair. Losing my religion. The truth is I left it on the bus on purpose because I saw someone else's religion there and didn't want it to be lonely. The truth is you should never begin anything with "the truth is," because then people will think everything else you were saying was false. The truth is all I wanted was this, to fall asleep with you at the bus station, still holding our coffee cups, still holding our scepters. What would have been his 19th birthday? The day arrives like a riderless horse. Road trip. Of course we stole the motel soap. Weren't we supposed to? So we could go home and try to hold those slippery slivers which, like everything we pretended was ours, touched us and vanished. And I will read two more poems. This is called Love. It's an extreme sport, like indoor beekeeping. They're all true. They're all true. You know that. You've felt that. Everything. Everything was beautiful and nothing hurt, Kurt Vonnegut said. Everything was beautiful and nothing hurt, the girl slurred to the artist at the tattoo parlor. The word made flesh isn't fictional. It's beautiful. It hurts. Thank you.
I am not that funny or that tall. Hello, how is everyone doing? Is this on? Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. Can everyone see me behind? We're just gonna. Yeah. Now you get the action. Hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Good, awesome. I'm sorry my voice is actually 3 octaves lower than it actually is. I'm fighting off a cold, so I apologize in advance. It's so great to be here in this room. Christina and Mary have been so generous to me as a Harvard student over the years. I'm a senior here if you thought I was a middle schooler. I'm actually graduating this year, and I particularly have a memory of them letting the Today Show team come in and almost just destroy this space in an attempt to film me for a feature they were doing. So thanks for that. So this is actually the pinnacle of my... Great. So, okay, then it was all worth it. So this is really in part a pinnacle of my Harvard career. I'm only going to read 2 poems, and they're actually quite short. And the reason I'm reading them and keeping them brief is because they actually come from very long histories, which I would love to talk about today since it's my favorite month, Black History Month. Woo woo! So I thought I'd talk about Black people and Black history. The first poem I'm going to read is actually an eraser poem, and it concerns Phyllis Wheatley, who, if you didn't know, was the first African American to publish a book of poetry. She was actually an African slave who was brought here to Massachusetts, Boston, actually, around the age of, from the records, people are guessing 8 or 9, and around the age of 12, she actually started publishing poetry. Keep in mind that she had come to the States without speaking any English, and by the time she was younger than me, she could read the classics, she could read Latin, she was publishing her work. Now, this brought forth a very interesting question for the white supremacist structure that was organizing at that time, which is to say, how can this young, skinny, sickly-looking Black teenager be writing these poems? To the point that she was actually brought to a tribunal in front of 18 white men, many of whom were graduates of this very university, so they could interrogate her and see if she actually had authored her poems. We don't know what happened in the room where it happened, but we know that by the time she left that space, she had come out with a declaration signed by the 18 intellectuals of the time saying she indeed had authored her poems. This was not enough, though, for someone by the name of Thomas Jefferson, who in 1785 published what's called Notes on the State of Virginia. And the idea that a founding father who was then running a slave state would dedicate part of his treatise on slavery to addressing a Black female slave was incredible, to the point that he had to say, I cannot defend slavery unless I can prove that Phyllis Wheatley's credit does not count. And so I decided to look to Notes on the State of Virginia and erase some of Thomas Jefferson's words in the same way that he erased the contributions of Phyllis Wheatley. So this is an erasure poem of the paragraph in which she addresses Phyllis. But I find a Black above narration. See in elementary traits of painting or sculpture, more generally, whites with accurate ears have been found capable of imagining. Whether they will be the composition of a more extensive composition is complicated and yet to be proved. Often, most poetry is misery enough. God knows no poetry. Love the poet. Their love is ardent, it centers only imagination. Indeed, a Phyllis Wheatley, a poet, published under her name, Dignity. I'm going to read a second poem, and this one I wrote, I want to say freshman year. Wow, throwback. And it was when the New York Times asked me to write a coda to Black History Month. And I remember that fall kind of running around campus, pulling my hair out, because I had no idea how I was supposed to say something new about race relations or Blackness. And finally, I kind of sat down to myself and I realized I don't necessarily need to say something new. I think I should actually say something old that should be heard and listened to and internalized yet again. So I looked to the archives of the National Museum of African American History and Culture, long title, that's in DC, and they have all of these protest flyers and pins and posters that have incredible text on it, the words and the language and the rhetoric of a movement. And so I collaged all of the flyers that I could find that were engaged with these ideas of protest and freedom, and I composed this into a poem. So I don't necessarily consider it really my poem, but more so a poem that's calling forth on the language of what created the freedom that I get to exist in today. It's called Old Jim Crow Got to Go. Whose face is white as snow, everywhere Daisy goes, no dogs, no Negro, I am a man. I am the way I am. I look the way I look. I am my age. Black Power core. Malcolm X speaks for me. He died to make men free. Malcolm's legacy. One man, one vote. SNCC. Don't you want to be free? I'm for King's Way. Watch your backs. Cooking and smoking. Where we at? Black males and endangered species. A perspective on solidarity. Black is beautiful. Free Angela Davis, liberation in the making. Angela is free. Free all political prisoners. 50% Black women artists. Revolutionary hope. Shirley Chisholm, unbiased and unbought anatomy of the Black aesthetic and examination. Nikki Giovanni, poet, critic, go home. Harriet Tubman, home. She allegedly has purchased several guns in the past, consider possibly armed and dangerous. I believe Anita Hill, age 26, height 5'8", hair black, occupation teacher. Small scars on both knees, race, Negro, nationality, American. Women free, our sisters, what can a girl do? What have women done? What can you do? End racism and suppression. Testimony from a Black sister marks the beginning in the hearts and the lives of all Black men and women. Get it? Together, we march with Selma, we march through Montgomery. The moonwalk won't be as bad as our walk. Move on over, we'll move on over you, lifting as we climb. We shall overcome. Freedom, ride, core, keep us flying, keep us flying. Don't you want to be free? Liberty and equality, they shall not die.
How are y'all doing this evening? I'm gonna read 4 poems. Wow, that's amazing. I'm terrified. That's amazing. Hi, I'm Porsha. And I decided to surprise myself and pick the poems I'm reading in the hallway. So judge me. But I'm going to read 4 poems, and most of them are from a project I've been working on about water, Black folks and water. And that's it. The first one is about Dorothy Dandridge, who was a famous actress, and singer before her time, which is before the Civil Rights Movement. And so she didn't get a lot of those opportunities. And so that poem is about her. It's called Dorothy Dips a Toe into a Hotel Pool after being warned the water would need to be drained if a Black person swam in it, 1953, Las Vegas. And all at once, without and within, each well of wet everywhere swelled dry. The woman in the shower, shriveling, shaken bare, the cook steaming at the sink and faulty faucet, the rust keening and dragging itself through pipes. Chalices unfeel, air wilts the face, moisture abandons the flesh, the breath, the girth, water unflows, reruns away like blood fleeing a wound. The swimming pool, brimming moments ago, now hold mothers who hold babies, dry sobbing at its base. Hip and ankle bones protrude at odd angles. Guests at the last frontier lay leisurely, their bodies broiled brittle on the deck. The yes cascading over a no is the Black spell, the anti to the anti. All kept from me in spite shall spite keep from you with force. And in another land, unpromised, the color blue opens and spreads to blanket each eye. Dorothy stands at the water's ledge. Her curls and linen lie loose. Her skin, cool and sweet, sings a song unsang but known. Dorothy, a tall tide, coaxing herself into herself. Dorothy, a good curse, moves until waves wade at her waist. The dancing wet rushes to gather at her hips. She cups the clear in her palms and splashes upward. Dorothy lifts her arms and ocean rain urges the body to name itself religion. Dorothy splatters and ripples bring forth a sanctum. Each droplet is plenty for the city's southeast. A shower gives itself to the children on 83rd playing at the hydrant. A spray fills the pot of collards on the back burner. Another flows through a school's fountain once lined with lead. Dorothy swishes water into the sugar breeze and it lingers in air. No one thirsts. Moisture soothes a lonely throat. Dew demands a mother's seeds to grow. Dorothy raises the ocean. And oh, I want to tell you how her hands cradled full drops toward the sky, how the water could hardly stand to let her go. This next one is also an erasure, fun, erasing people's words. No, okay. But the original text is from T.S. Eliot's The Dry Salvages. And in the poem, there is a line, or he's particularly talking about water and images of water, but there's a line like the cargo of dead Negroes and chicken coops and cows. And so I, as a person who's meditating on water and Blackness, I was deeply disturbed by the line and decided to erase the whole poem. And just to note, it is homage or ode to folks who were killed during the Middle Passage, whose burial grounds are in the Atlantic. It's called Salvage. The river is a brown god, untamed frontier, reminder of men unhonored but waiting the sea about us. Which beach tosses up our losses? Lobster pot men, salt rose voice, sea howl, sea yelp breaking on water, wailing warning, tolling time. Our women lie between dawn and the ground's beginning. Where is the withering wreckage, the prayer unprayable, the consequence of living? Of what is the drifting, the silent clamor, the last annunciation? Wind cannot think of an ocean not littered with the past. Banks will not bear the pain of the sea. Bone gods, hardly, barely owning, revived and only backward looking. Behind recorded history is time, the past torment of others. The cargo of dead in restless waters is merely a monument, a sea mark, a sombre song of wistful regret. Those not here are murmuring in the harbor, the shore, the future. Which spear of a man's death shall fructify lives? Seamen whose bodies suffer of sea, voyagers whose shrines stand with fish, women who queen heaven, who end in the sea's lips. Wherever the spirit and the wrinkle of tragedy, there is a shaft of sunlight, a wild unseen waterfall, music so deep it is not heard. Incarnation for us is the aim of undefeat. We've gone on trying to last our temporal life of soil. All right, I'm gonna do two more, all about water, you know. This one is just about, there was some folks trying to integrate a public pool, and the hotel manager put muriatic acid, which is bleach, in the pool, and this poem is about that. If you tell it backward, St. Augustine, Florida. If you tell it backward, no Black person alive today can be found working at the Hilton. JT and Al went back in time to the Manson Motel and saw it had been reconstructed, but still a graveyard. Years before, the kids are all cuffed and dragged into the jailhouse, nude, bearing bathing suits, for a leap into segregation at a swimming pool. Riddle: what degree is the burn when acid gets in the eye, mouth, or on the body? The girls move from the edge where the manager, James Brock, that's his name, pours a bottle of muriatic acid into the water. He starts to lose it, it being his temper or his mind or his job or his white man power built on savagery. Anyway, he gets angry because it's 1964 and JT and some of the girls are Black and ain't supposed to be in this pool here. JT, Al, and a couple of young girls splash in to escape the burden of a southern June barking on their bodies, feverish in their youth, sugared in sweet sweat, having never told their parents they were heading to the pool for some fun to slope the spine. I can see it now, JT and them, just swelling, selling, swimming on a humid day where the summer swelters and the skin glows jet black from the heat of the sun. And then this is the last one, which is not about water, surprise. And it's called After James Brown. Say it. Say it. Say it loud. Say Black. Say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. Say it. Say it. Sang it. Sang it. Say it proud. Say it loud. Say it Black. Black. Look at here, it. It say Black. Say it Black. Say I Black. It Black. I Black. It Black. I Black. All right, now say it. Say it, sing it. Say it proud. Say it loud, say it black. Black it proud. Black it loud, say it loud, I'm black, it black, I'm black, it loud, good God, it loud, say it loud and black. Say it loud and it black, say I'm black and I'm loud, good God, say it back. Say it back, black. Say it proud, black. Say it proud, black. Proud, black, black. Say it loud, black. Say it black. Say it back. Look at here. Say it. Sing it. Sing it. Say I'm black. I'm loud. Say it. Good God. Say it. Sing it. Lord of Lord. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, y'all can go home now. It's fine. Hey. Wow. It's cool to get to be a local poet here. I ran away from here at 17, and I'm back. I'm not dead, so I'm a local poet. I'm really excited for that, and this is an incredible reading. It's an honor to be a part of this. This microphone is just for the archive, right? So we just, cool. That was electrifying. All right. I'm just going to read you 3 poems. And, yeah. Blue Palestine. Only one grass whistles out the tooth of my horse. And the moon drops fast behind the fences. And the wheat lolls back and waits for death. I could see the sea from where I was. My mesh hat shone blue, the jagged cheek of Gibraltar, solid, sucked in the mouth and never melting, where my dog's warm underleg soothes a whetstone. I speak of it thusly, I say it thusly, I lisp its name into the curl of wall stained dark in the impression of my mouth. Only one grass whistles out the tooth of my horse, and the moon bends back, and the wheat lolls back, and opens its stomach and waits for death. I soak it in my black water. It seethes in bags I've hung up among the rafters. It seethes in bags of amber and jasper transfusions, flour liquids, and cellophane pouches streaked with goo clots of plastic soldier sun. When the pitcher is poured out the length of my tongue and 10 vats of grease ignite in unison. Only one grass whistles out the tooth of my horse, a too-tight phylactery, the moon bending back, the wheat lolling back, scroll boxes clattering on the stone, jugs of gasoline and jugs of sand. I threw my coat on the sea, the velvet sea, my coat spread. It was the blue of the top of the column of milk, it soaked embroidery. It was the ditty two winds whined into the anus of night. Skating along the floor of the brook are leaves and ice. Devolving on the brook floor, it is only one little one. One pale shard of blue Palestine. The wineskins are pricked, goat's udders banged sore, where Micah lodges in the mucus house, where my velvet is sucked down, where the cheek blows thick with sleep to be brushed by the sea. Blue Palestine, wrung swan neck in oil, tasseling dirty day with rocks that fly and fly and fall and fall and fall. The moon bends back and the wheat lolls back. A cracker whitens on the tongue of the hanged man. My velvet is sucked down the seawall is chip blue, the clock of Palestine. Gulls' salt beaks, iron drums soldered shut and stuffed with salt cod. An anvil of rammed earth in the form of a baby belly button, hair raised on the hat of the imperatrix, embossed forever in her brass annal. No grass screams against the foot of my horse. No rock whinnies down the side of the sea. No scroll staves off the reeds quivering in my rib wall, and no algaes quiver, and no frogs belch out the tablet over the song of my purchase of night. Blue Palestine, red sucker, bloody on the bib of the world. Blue Palestine, ice tray soaked in solid sun. I guess I didn't really give any context for that, did I? Oh. I was enjoying hiding my face behind the microphone. Thanks, Christina. Okay, so I think I won't give any context because you're all psychic. You don't need it. Let's see. Sorry, lectern. Thank you. Okay, I won't move the microphone. Arena. Because that light was not like the others, making us seem to be becoming a place, and because on a traffic island the sun had filled me, and because my mother was crazy, and because she was sometimes sane, and because I was in love and then I wasn't in love anymore, and because I was hungry, and because I needed to party, and because I was grieving, and because I had studied the Dust Bowl, the architecture at Delphi, Judaic and Islamic legends of Moses, Midianite theology, the history of Haiti, Aryan horsemen of ancient Iran, the collapse of Sumerian agriculture, Kundalini yoga, Alan Savory's and competing theories on desertification reversal, ancient and contemporary methods for ruminant grazing, grasslands and myths of grasslands, those Hopi stories that can be found in books, Roman haruspice, Hellenistic astrology, the life of the Marquis de Sade, 1 or 2 novels, 1 or 2 volumes of poetry, Bulgarian choral singing, elements of contemporary sculpture, certain Gnostic scriptures, my own appetite, and because you can pay a professional to cleanse you of demons with a chicken egg, and because the air filled first with the odor of cheap men's cologne and then of human excrement over warming Pop-Tarts, and because one morning in Santa Monica, a woman emerging from a store was heard to say, "They don't have guns in the toy store." To which her man replied, "I know." He was seated beside a child. "We'll get it in another toy store," the man said. And because an ugly incense was emanating from House of Intuition, and because Kabir wore a peacock feather in his cap and Krishna had one in his turban, and because King Solomon brought peacocks to Kiyim in a boat back from Tarshish, and because I fell down sobbing over a beaded cloth, and because what I'd for so long failed to see, what I had ignored, mistaking it for ornament, was information hiding in plain sight, and because there was no way to touch what was converging on us, and because once there were oil pits near Arderica and a pitch spring on Zacynthus, and because Iris was the messenger of the gods I'd forgotten, and because the iridescence in the peacock was due to a complex photonic crystal, and because that crystal was silica, and so for the most part was sand, and likewise the stones to which desolate people increasingly communicated their wishes. I gotta take that back. And because the iridescence in the peacock was due to a complex photonic crystal, and because that crystal was silica, and so for the most part was sand, and likewise the stones to which desolate people increasingly communicated their wishes, and because glass was melted sand, and Johnny Cash was attacked by an ostrich, and because pens used to be made of feathers, and because Chopin and George Sand had been miserable on Majorca, and because there was dust storms on Mars and sandstorms in China, and Israel was investing heavily in anti-desertification efforts, and because Papa Doc had shorn Haiti's mountains of trees, and when dust from Azerbaijan blew into Tbilisi, I lay with a nihilist in a fenced-in woods, and when strange lights appeared at the height of the spruces, there was dust on our tongues, and because I navigated by the pine cone in my skull, same as everybody else, and because a bird had alighted on the lectern of Bernie Sanders, and Mozart kept a sparrow as a pet, and because the mute son of Kenzaburo Oe learned speech from records of birdsong, and because of the bird friends of Odin and Massa, and because the gizzards of fowl were iridescent, and likewise the pearl, and likewise the viral unicorn frappuccino, and because Big Sur was on fire, and a hot wind was blowing over the Henry Miller Library, and because in Paradise, California, people burned in their cars, and because the bullets kept flying, and because the relentless spread of stupidity was allegorized in Flaubert's novels by grains of sand, and because idiocy came down onto Baudelaire on the wind of a wing, and because the less we could agree, the more it seemed we were evolving into a gem. Don't worry, it's almost over. I just have to find the page. This book is way too long for a book of poetry. Let's see. Dreamhouse. Okay, let's read Skull and Bones. This isn't Yale, obviously, but it's almost as bad. Sorry? I love you too. Okay, Skull and Bones. This is for John Giorno. It's in memory of John Giorno. I had this job at Yale, right? And they won't give those bones back. And like the vibes there are pretty bad. Like this is hard. This is kind of bad, but it's worse over there. It's even worse, right? I don't mean to complain. I feel like the way I show my love for Boston is by shit talking it. So I hope you can all feel my love. There's like 2 people who are like, I feel your love. It's all love poetry, right? I mean, in the end, Skull and Bones. I'm wearing a used fake fur like a cartoon ermine. I've belted it with genuine snakeskin, blonde. I've eaten 3 eggs with a fork, 3 strips of grass-fed beef with my fingers, a cookie with my fingers. Didn't pay for any of it, couldn't. Didn't clean the pan. Still hungry, not hungry at all, can't tell. Had a little talk with my lover, couldn't be avoided. A few fat tears rolled off me. I kind of don't want to come, I said, or I can't. I need to, but I can't. I can't come right. Don't want to. Also, I can tell you've lost confidence when you touch me, I said, kind of not in my body right now, beside myself, haunted, and sand and infinity spread into my dreams, emptiness throbbing in me like an incarceration, some trouble I've seen, desertification stand for the devil, I don't know. Incarceration should never be used as a metaphor. That's a feeling. Last night's dream is still going. Seeing God hasn't saved me. Wraiths of snow slavered over the white highway. We drove through gales, blasting La Traviata, wasting our brains, dividing the truth from kitsch. In the Lilydale bargain store, in the good bar just off Seneca Land. It was a whole day's labor reading where Geronimo's skull ended up, and the lawsuit that failed to move it. Guess who owns the world? I put away an hour reminding institutions to pay me. My income hasn't been regular enough for that kind of friendship this year. All the people I miss while I'm wound up in this. Opened a fresh can for the cat. Now I'm a person who does that. Woke up still dreaming of like 3 people's feeds. The world keeps forcing its way in. The world. Which fucking one? You know the one. And I was one of the lucky ones.
Hi, my name is James Stotts. Christina, thank you for having me here. The first time I came to Boston was 20 years ago, when I was 20 years old. And we went to the Hong Kong with our fake IDs and came to this library and checked out this room. So it's been a long time. I was here for a reading about 10 years ago, too. I really love this spot. I'm going to read a couple poems whose titles are just sounds. They're not words. Heavy pollen raining slowly through the morning from the trees. Soon all the flowers are dying. I have somewhere to be, to tackle the long, deciduous, desirous spectacle of Japan fans on leaving. I always sing Yesenen's last song in a Londonderry air. If I had a cat I'd name him Zephs, and we would listen all night long to the golf course owl's perfect who ellipses. If I were in the ground, my rot would make a sound. If I were in the stars, we would make a new speech with the commiserable reaches only we knew of space. I could pull it together if Jack came back. This next poem is a long one that I've been writing for the last 15 years. It's for Joseph Brodsky. Right now, it's 7 parts, and it is essentially the stations of the pilgrimage as I've followed Joseph Brodsky's steps from St. Petersburg to Arkhangelsk to here to Boston, to Ireland, to Rome, and to Venice a year ago in January. It's called Eclectics for Joe. 1. Birds dragging themselves from the battle of daybreak like spilt blood. Blue flies barely woken after winter, singing, signifying nothing. We ripped off your wings and songs like children, sold off the memory of countless flights as you erased the sky. Now you limp and mutter. Life in the dissipated light. Or, I loved you for a little while, like brushing across nettleweed. Then, after weeks of beer and cigarettes without a dream, forgot your face, replaced it with a girl's. I make a point to occupy your space. Would you have seen me in a crowd? I seen you, unless we walked into a room alone. But you're no longer of the body, only of the blue. About a year ago, I remembered how the half was like the whole of you, how adumbrations in the dissipated light fade and then reform, taking on their own life. Watching fish pass like ghosts under the Hudson, Urania like a palimpsest, my illegible English over your once unintelligible babble. Is it your eyes or just the skies flash green? I remember how I read you. Zavivato, zavivato, zabivato. 2. This starts with a quote from an Akhmatova poem. Пора забыть верблюжье татгам и белый дом на улице Жуковский. Пора, пора к березам и грибам. Time to forget all the humped traffic noise and the White House on Zhukovsky Way. Time to head south a while for mushrooms, birches, and the yawning sky. Remember everything piled up on that fold-out chair? You were singing along that song about the garden, the girl with tawny hair coming through the neighbor's wall. The windows hung with faded sheets, snowdrifts in the yard that kept stray dogs and shepherds at bay, blocked potential visits from transparent czarists. We kept ourselves warm under an old greatcoat, Armenian and not very warm. Remember that sound that crept into our dreams? Still too early to be the song of Yalta birds returning, not beds or floorboards bent and yearning. Maybe just the wind. And the dream, all of us in a plane smoking Camels, trying to triangulate the engine hum and hunger of everybody else's poor with literacy rates in Poland and Korea, under the 100 watts molten tears. The peasants must survive their red-nosed forest winters. That's how they spend their time. The predicate leading the subject into past, left today behind, ends hiding in the endings of his midnight cries. The convict song Bloch whistled along the road. Yesenin and Pushkin rhymes. Holding back, even with nothing left to feed the fire. Saving all he can from the neo-grammar. 3. Notes of fin grease and wild flowers on the last breath of a Bactrian fag crushed in the gray snow. The tundra is teeming with porticos, and a Lethe frozen half the year holds fishboats and freighters in thrall, hides beds of sunken logs, buries archangel spawn to nurse all winter long on paper pulp. This is where they sent you to stand sentry on a gypsum wall, watching the white sea, meeting out those convict songs with calloused heels. How did you survive it all? How did your gray eyes stay evergreen? The broken teeth you spit out in your dreams took root, brought forth lime saplings covered in seed. When Anna died, doctors sewed her ghost into your thigh, and a fairy doctored Gervisa so you wouldn't have to wait in line. 4. Ironic Maria's resemblance to Sandro's Venus and St. George's to hers. The same way girls' faces harden into medallions, and the same way love turned Joseph's face into a girl's. 5. Seaward, over the hill, I hear the bittern's asinine call on the unlit way to St. Gregory's. Overhead, all the late beasts of making roll across the sky, sans soulier. Joseph in the crowd of stars, senseless now to the bitter tramontane below, blowing in like camel smoke off the harbor, passing over this world, the pus and ichor of the clouds. Melissa, bent in a Euterpian pose, courting the nor'easter. Lyosha, losing your soul to the ultralingua of the episode 7-0. Sunny, monsoon counselor, shunned by Venus and Kama. And Derek, already a glimmer in your eye, nectar in your veins. Crust cigarettes follow me like breadcrumbs to the corner store. Birds and wind drown out your song. Sure sign of a coming storm. 6. This century then was less than dawn's first sentiment of day. Melissa lent me your coat. Anna has a little girl. And this is the way it goes now. You follow me and my following you. Piloting by flags of blue graffitied wool of Innisbof and Effers, fleeced by rain. Or crouched on the ice, naked on the water in April before the spinning distaffs of gray archangels. Gangrened escapade haunting the white horse, or Catamountain, goat song, coat of arms. Sometimes even the lathered skullfuckers scudding the Charles seem familiar. Wherever I go looking for you, you come with me, like the hard-up honeybees in Rome, trying with their dying breaths to win the ancient reckoning home. So long had life together been. 7. Adonis got off the private ferry with his entourage in tow. Pretty French somethings and a cameraman to pay his respects. He bowed to Ezra and to Joe. He said so, and I almost believed him that he wasn't a writer. He didn't bring a song to sing. The ice mist was picking at our bones, and the cemetery for non-believers was floating like a cloud on the Grand Canal. Joseph would have been embarrassed by my bad math and pidgin Russian. It was my own fault. I learned it falling in love with him and her whose name I can't put to paper anymore. And then I thought I would just read a couple little Valentine's poems. This is one I wrote for Masha 2 years ago on Valentine's Day. Like the window that opens on a spring. Like the reiterated dawn. Like the hawthorn putting his summer dress back on. I want to be your dog. I want to come running. Like the letter of the law, like the stravaging winds of the sun, like a fine-tooth comb and a treble gin. I want you to get me out the door looking better than I have a right to. And whatever it is we're doing, I want to do it again. So Masha and I aren't together anymore. We got divorced last year. While I was in Venice in January, she met somebody else. And when I came back, she was already not at the house. We've been married for 14 years. And I had picked up in Venice Marco Polo's Voyages. So last year on Valentine's Day, I was sitting at a bar reading Marco Polo. And some of the language for this poem was borrowed from him, and the method too. We had a sort of salamander industry, but no beast can live in fire. I should tell you, the people of Gorky have a particular custom, and I'll describe it to you. Whenever a woman's husband leaves on a journey of more than 20 days, she takes a new husband as soon as he sets off. And the men, wherever they go, take new wives as well. I was only gone 10 days. Thank you.
Fanny Howe once said to me, the hardest thing to capture is atmosphere. What was the atmosphere? So when you're feeling bad about Boston or the station in general, as Ariana said, Boston can be kind of bad. Remember this atmosphere and this convergence of lives and minds. And because as Porsha told us, there was water we couldn't all always swim in. Do me a favor and introduce yourself to one human being tonight. How about that? And then enjoy the food and drink. And thank you all so much.